Jason, quick question. What is the very first thing you do when you wake up?
Honestly, I'd check my phone, immediately regret checking my phone, and then lie there for 6 more minutes deciding whether today is a get-up day or a negotiate with the ceiling day.
Negotiate with the ceiling. I love that. And how often does the ceiling win?
The ceiling has an excellent win rate, very persuasive, never says a word, and still wins every argument.
Okay, but here's why I'm asking. I used to be exactly like that. Phone first, scrolling. 15 minutes gone before my feet even touched the floor.
The classic morning heist. 15 minutes stolen, and you don't even know who took them.
Stolen by a man doing a dance challenge I didn't ask to see. But then I noticed something. On the mornings I did that, my English practice that day basically never happened.
Interesting. Cause or coincidence?
That's exactly what I wanted to find out. So I started paying attention, and it turns out what you do in the first 10 minutes of your day quietly decides what kind of day it's going to be.
Not decides completely, but tilts it, like setting the first domino.
Exactly like that. And for anyone learning English, that first domino matters more than people realize.
Because most learners think progress comes from long study sessions. 2 hours here, a weekend course there, big dramatic effort.
But the truth is a little less exciting and a lot more useful. Consistent small mornings beat occasional big efforts almost every single time.
Which is exactly what today is about.
Hey, English learners. Welcome back to the English Connect podcast, your cozy little place to learn real English through conversations that actually change how you think. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Jason, and today we're building something together, a morning routine that actually improves your English without needing an extra hour you don't have.
No 5 a.m. alarm required. No perfect discipline required. Just a handful of small, realistic habits that quietly compound over time.
By the end of this episode, you'll have a simple morning framework you can start tomorrow, and we'll explain exactly why it works, not just what to do.
And we'll break down 5 powerful vocabulary words and phrases from today's conversation to sharpen your English.
But first, your answer in the comments, right now.
Complete this sentence. The first thing I do every morning is...
Be honest, even if it's a little embarrassing, especially if it's a little embarrassing. We read every single comment.
All right, let's build this morning together.
Okay, Sophia, let's start with the obvious question. Why mornings specifically? Why not just practice English whenever there's free time?
Great question. And the honest answer is whenever there's free time, almost never actually happens.
Because free time is basically a myth, like a unicorn. People describe it, but nobody's actually seen one.
A beautiful mythical creature called free time, spotted occasionally on vacation, otherwise extremely rare.
So if you wait for free time to appear naturally, it usually gets eaten by something else. Emails, errands, that show you swore you'd only watch one episode of.
Exactly, which is why mornings are so valuable. Before the day starts making demands on you, your morning is still yours. Nobody's emailed you yet, nothing's on fire yet.
It's the one part of the day that hasn't been claimed by anyone else.
Right, and there's something else too. Mentally, mornings are quieter, less noise in your head, which happens to be a great condition for learning something.
Makes sense. Your brain hasn't been used up yet by 100 small decisions.
Exactly. Decision fatigue hasn't kicked in, so the same 10 minutes of English practice that feels easy at 7 a.m. can feel exhausting at 9 p.m. after your brain has already made 1,000 tiny decisions all day.
So it's not that evening practice is impossible, it's just working against more resistance.
Right. Morning practice works with less resistance. Same effort, better return.
Okay, I'm convinced on the why. Now let's get practical. What does an actual, realistic English morning routine look like? Because I think people are imagining something intense.
They definitely are. They're picturing flashcards, grammar books, maybe a stern teacher standing over them.
A little disappointed teacher living in your kitchen judging your pronunciation before coffee.
Nobody wants that with their breakfast. So let's throw that image out completely. The routine we're building today takes 10 to 15 minutes. That's it.
10 to 15 minutes. Okay, walk me through it.
Step 1. Before you touch your phone for anything else, listen to 2 or 3 minutes of English, a podcast clip, a song, a short video, anything with real, natural speech.
Why before anything else? Why does the order matter?
Because whatever goes into your ears first tends to set the tone. If the first voice you hear is in English, your brain starts the day already leaning that direction.
So you're not adding a task, you're just changing what fills a moment that was going to happen anyway.
Exactly. You were going to spend those first few minutes doing something. Might as well let that something work for you.
Step 2.
Step 2. Speak out loud for 60 seconds. Doesn't matter what you say. Describe your plans for the day. Describe your dream from last night. Complain about the ceiling that won this morning's negotiation.
Finally, my nemesis gets acknowledged in English.
Give it the respect it deserves in full sentences. The point isn't accuracy. The point is activating your mouth and your brain in English before the day gets busy.
Because speaking is a physical skill, not just a mental one.
Exactly. Your mouth needs practice forming these sounds, same as any muscle needs a warm-up. 60 seconds of messy, imperfect speaking beats 0 seconds of perfect silence.
I like that a lot. What's step 3?
Step 3. Write one sentence, just one, about anything. What you're grateful for, what you're worried about, what you had for dinner. It genuinely does not matter.
One sentence feels almost too small to matter.
That's exactly the point. It's small enough that you'll actually do it. A large task invites procrastination. A tiny task invites action.
So the smallness isn't a weakness of the plan, it's the entire strategy.
Precisely. One sentence a day, every day, adds up to over 300 sentences a year. That's not nothing. That's real, visible progress, built from something that never felt hard to start.
Okay, listening, speaking, writing. What's the fourth piece?
Fourth, pick one new word or phrase and actually use it in a sentence out loud. Not just look it up and nod at it. Use it.
Why does using it matter so much? Why not just review a vocabulary list?
Because a word you've only seen is a word you'll forget by lunchtime. A word you've spoken in your own sentence has a much better chance of sticking. You've made it yours.
So the routine isn't about consuming more English, it's about producing a little English every single day.
That's the whole shift, honestly. Most learners spend all their energy on input, listening, reading, watching, which matters, but output, speaking and writing, is what actually builds confidence and fluency.
Input fills the tank, output is what proves the engine works.
Exactly that. And a morning routine is the easiest place to guarantee a little output happens every single day without needing extra time carved out later.
Now, I want to ask about something that trips a lot of people up. What happens on the mornings this just doesn't happen? Overslept, rushed, chaos everywhere.
This is important, so listen closely. On those mornings, you don't skip the routine entirely, you shrink it.
Shrink it how?
If you don't have 10 minutes, you have 1 minute. So you do one piece, just the 60 seconds of speaking, or just the one sentence. The goal isn't the full routine every day. The goal is unbroken contact with English every day.
Unbroken contact, not perfect contact.
Exactly, because the danger isn't a short morning. The danger is a missed morning turning into a missed week, and a missed week quietly turning into a missed habit altogether.
So the shrunken version protects the streak even when the full version isn't realistic.
Right. A 1-minute version of the routine on a chaotic day is infinitely more valuable than a perfect version you're saving for a calmer day that may never come.
That reframes "I don't have time today" completely, because you basically always have 1 minute.
Everyone has 1 minute. That's the whole point. This routine is designed to survive your worst mornings, not just your best ones.
Now, one more thing before we move to vocabulary. How long before someone actually notices a difference doing this?
Faster than people expect, honestly. Most learners notice a shift in confidence within 2 to 3 weeks. Not fluency, confidence. Words come a little faster. Hesitation shrinks a little.
And confidence tends to feed itself, doesn't it? Once speaking feels a little less scary, you speak more, which builds more confidence.
Exactly. It's a small loop that builds on itself, and it all starts in those 10 quiet minutes before the day gets loud.
10 minutes. Listening, speaking, writing, one new word. That's genuinely doable.
That's the entire point. Not impressive, not exhausting, just repeatable. Every single morning for as long as it takes.
All right, everyone, let's break down 5 powerful words and phrases from today's conversation to sharpen your English.
First, decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue means the mental tiredness that builds up after making many small decisions throughout the day, making it harder to focus or make good choices later on. We used it to explain why morning practice often works better than evening practice. You can say, by 9 p.m., decision fatigue had completely taken over, and even choosing what to watch felt exhausting.
So, decision fatigue is the invisible tax your brain pays throughout the day. Let's repeat it slowly. Decision fatigue. Decision fatigue.
Now let's look at a word for information and language you take in through listening, reading, or watching.
Input.
Input refers to the language you absorb, listening to podcasts, reading articles, watching shows. It's how you fill your knowledge and understanding. You can say, she got plenty of input from watching English shows, but she still felt nervous speaking because input alone doesn't build confidence.
Or, increasing your input is a great first step, but it's only half of what fluency actually requires.
So, input is what fills the tank. Necessary, but not the whole engine. Let's repeat it. Input.
Input.
Now let's look at the word for its essential partner, the language you actually produce yourself.
Output.
Output means the language you actively produce, speaking or writing, rather than simply absorbing. It's how input gets converted into real usable skill. You can say, he finally started making progress once he balanced his input with regular output, speaking out loud every single morning.
Or, a year of input without output is like reading about swimming for a year and never getting in the water.
So output is the proof that learning is actually becoming ability. Let's repeat it. Output.
Output.
Now let's look at the phrase for the string of consecutive days you keep a habit going.
Unbroken contact.
Unbroken contact means maintaining regular, continuous engagement with something, in this case, English, even in a tiny, minimal way, without letting a full day pass with zero practice. You can say, even on her busiest days, she kept unbroken contact with English by writing just one sentence before bed.
Or, the goal was never a perfect routine every day. It was unbroken contact, however small that contact looked.
So, unbroken contact protects consistency, even when perfection isn't realistic. Let's repeat it. Unbroken contact.
Unbroken contact.
And our final phrase, the process where a small habit builds momentum and strengthens itself over time.
A loop that builds on itself.
A loop that builds on itself describes a cycle where a small positive change, like a little more confidence, leads to more of the behavior that created it in the first place, which then creates even more of that positive change. You can say, once she started speaking a little more, her confidence grew, which made her speak even more, a loop that built on itself.
Or, good habits often create a loop that builds on itself, so the hardest part is really just getting it started.
So this loop is what turns a tiny morning habit into real, lasting change over time. Let's repeat it. A loop that builds on itself.
A loop that builds on itself.
These words and phrases will help you understand, talk about, and build your own English morning routine with much more clarity.
Choose one or two, use them this week, and notice how much clearer your thinking becomes when the right language is there.
Jason, be honest. Are you actually going to try this tomorrow morning, or is the ceiling going to win again?
Okay, low blow. But actually, yes, I think I'm most excited about the 60 seconds of speaking. I've never once thought to just talk to my empty kitchen in English.
Your kitchen is about to become a much better English partner than it realizes.
It has no idea what's coming. So here's your challenge, and we want you to do this tomorrow morning, not eventually.
Before you check your phone for anything else, listen to 2 minutes of English. Then speak out loud for 60 seconds on anything at all. Then write one sentence. That's the whole routine. 10 minutes, maybe less.
And if tomorrow is chaotic, shrink it. Even one piece counts. Even 1 minute counts.
Then come tell us in the comments how it went. What did you talk to your kitchen about? What was your one sentence? We are reading every single comment, and we are genuinely excited to hear from you.
If today reached somewhere real for you, share it with someone who always says they don't have time to practice English.
This routine takes less time than deciding what to wear.
Subscribe, leave us a comment, and stay with us. We are here every single day.
And here is what we want you to carry today. You don't need an extra hour. You don't need a perfect plan or a quiet house or a fully rested brain. You need 10 minutes at the very start of your day before anything else has the chance to claim them. 2 minutes of listening, 60 seconds of speaking, however messy, one sentence, however small. That's not a lot to ask of any morning, but do it enough mornings in a row and something quietly starts to shift. A hesitation that used to last 3 seconds now lasts 1. A sentence that used to feel impossible now feels merely difficult. None of it happens all at once. All of it happens eventually, one ordinary morning at a time. So tomorrow, before the day that's loud, give it 10 quiet minutes. That's the whole routine. That's the whole secret.
This is Jason.
And this is Sophia, signing off from the English Connect podcast. Bye.
Keep learning, keep growing, and tomorrow morning, before you touch that phone, say good morning to your kitchen in English.